Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and today we'll take a look at fixing the 504 Gateway Timeout error on your WordPress site. The 504 Gateway Timeout error is one of the most common HTTP 500s error faced by website owners and site visitors. For many WordPress blogs and e-commerce platforms, knowing how to fix server errors like this is crucial to keep their hard-earned visitors from bouncing to competitor sites. As the 504 Gateway Timeout error doesn't tell you why it occurred, it's hard to pinpoint what's causing the server timeout. This video will help you understand it in depth, learn how to diagnose its cause, and then fix it. But before we get too far, I want to let you know that there will be links to more resources in the video's description below. And remember, subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications for future helpful content. So let's get started. Every time you visit a website in your browser, the browser sends a request to the web server where the site is hosted. The server processes the request and responds with the requested resources. The server response includes one of the many HTTP status codes to indicate the status of the response to the browser. But not all these HTTP status codes are errors. For instance, a 200 OK status code means that the server processed the request successfully and everything is okay. The 500 class of HTTP status codes indicates that something's wrong with the server is aware of it, and it cannot carry out the client request. As a result, they're also referred to as server error 500 status codes. Officially, 5 status codes are specified under the 500 class. We have 500, 501, 502, 503, and 504. You may come upon many unofficial codes too, like 506, 507, 509, 520, etc. The Internet Engineering Task Force defines the 504 Gateway Timeout error as the 504 Gateway Timeout status code indicates that the server, while acting as a gateway or proxy, did not receive a timely response from an upstream server it needed to access in order to complete the request. To simplify it further, this error occurs when 2 servers are involved in processing a request. And the first server, typically the main server, times out waiting for a response from the second server, the upstream server. The 504 Gateway Timeout error manifests itself in various forms. Here are some ways it usually shows up. The 504 Gateway Timeout error is similar to the 502 Bad Gateway error, which indicates that the first server received an invalid response from the second server, the upstream server. The browser displays any 504 Gateway Timeout error inside it, just like any other error. And because there are a variety of operating systems, web servers, browsers, and user agents, it can show up in multiple ways. Here are some common 504 error message variations that you may run into. All of these error responses, though worded differently, point to the same 504 Gateway Timeout server error. Web servers and websites can customize how they show the 504 Gateway Timeout error to users. Some of them can be cool. It's an excellent tactic to quell their visitors' disappointment. All 500 errors prevent a web page from loading, making them detrimental to user experience. Hence, search engines like Google take these errors seriously. If the error persists for a long duration, it may even lead to de-indexing the web page from the search engine results. For example, when Google spiders stumble upon a 503 service unavailable error, they'll understand that it's a temporary issue and it's mostly used to enable site maintenance mode. Thus, they'll try to crawl the page again later. A 504 Gateway Timeout error isn't necessarily temporary, as it can be due to multiple reasons. If your site is down for just a few minutes, and if the spiders are trying to crawl it multiple times every minute, they'll try to serve the page from their cache. They wouldn't even notice it. But if your site is down for 6 hours or more, then Google will consider the 504 error as a serious site-wide issue that you need to fix as soon as possible. This can impact your SEO negatively. Google Search Console is one of the best SEO tools to monitor your website's HTTP 500 errors. As the 504 error is due to a timeout between servers, the problem probably isn't with the client's device or internet connection. That also includes your device and connection. A 504 Gateway Timeout error indicates that the web server is waiting too long for a response from another server and is timing out. There can be many reasons for this timeout. The other server is not functioning properly, it's overloaded, or it's down. The other server needs not always to be an external server, for example, a CDN or an API gateway. It can also be a server-like entity within the main web server, like a reverse proxy server, or a database server. Without knowing exact details about the WordPress site, such as its server configuration, hosting plan, third-party plugins, and the traffic it attracts, you may find it frustrating and overwhelming to fix a 504 Gateway Timeout error. Since many variables are involved, I recommend you start by fixing client-side issues, which are pretty rare, and then move toward fixing server-side problems, which are usually the culprits with 504 errors. One of the first things you can try when encountering a 504 Gateway Timeout error is to wait a few minutes and try reloading the page. While you're at it, you can also try loading the site in a different browser to rule that out as an issue. As most 504 errors are due to temporarily overloaded servers, using this solution should make your site come right back. If waiting and reloading the site doesn't fix the 504 error issue, you can check whether a site is down for everyone or just you. The two great online tools to test a site for downtime are down for everyone or just me, and is it down right now? Sometimes problems with your network devices like your modem or router could lead to a 504 Gateway Timeout error. Rebooting these devices could help you with fixing the problem. While you can switch off all these network devices in any order, the order in which you switch them back on is important. Typically, turn these devices on from the outside in, following the connection order from the internet service provider to your main client device. A proxy server sits between your device and the internet. It's mostly used to enhance online privacy by hiding private information, like your device location, from websites and web servers. While it's rare for proxy servers to cause a 504 error, incorrect proxy server settings can sometimes be the reason. You can disable the proxy server and try reloading the webpage to see whether it'll fix the error. Most clients don't use a proxy service, so you can skip this step if you're confident that you don't use any proxy server. However, you might have set it without you even knowing about it. I suggest you check your devices and browser's proxy settings to rule this cause out. A 504 Gateway Timeout error can also be caused by DNS issues on the server side or the client side. The most probable reason for a server-side DNS issue is the FQDN, or the fully qualified domain name, not resolving to the correct IP address. Usually this occurs when you've just migrated your WordPress site to a new server or host. Hence, it's important to wait for the domain's DNS records to propagate fully, which can take up to 24 hours. You can use free tools like whatsmydns.net, DNS Checker, or DNS Map to see if your DNS has propagated around the globe. For fixing client-side DNS issues, you could try flushing your local DNS cache. It's like clearing your browser's cache, except here you're flushing the DNS cache from the operating system. If you're using Windows, you can flush the DNS cache by opening the command prompt and entering the following directive. You should see a successfully flushed the DNS resolver cache message if it worked. For the latest Mac OS versions, you can open the terminal and run the following command. You won't see any notification in Mac OS when the process finishes, but you can change that by appending the command with your custom message. If you're using older Mac OS versions, the command you need to enter varies based on which version of Mac OS you're running. If you're using the Linux operating system, then the process is quite similar to Mac OS, as even Linux uses the terminal as its command line interface. Since there exist many distributions of Linux, the exact command you need to run may vary from one distro to another. If you use an older version of Mac or Linux, check out Kinsta's guide below in the resource section. Finally, you can change your client-side DNS servers temporarily. By default, your ISP assigns the DNS servers automatically to you, but you can change these to public DNS IPs temporarily. Some reliable ones that you can try out are Google Public DNS, Cloudflare, Quad9 DNS, and Cisco Open DNS. Sometimes the issue could also be with your content delivery network. If a site's origin server isn't reachable, most CDNs will try to serve the full web page from their cache. But most CDNs don't enable this feature by default, as it's complex to cache dynamic assets on most sites. A straightforward way to troubleshoot this is to disable your CDN temporarily. For example, if you're using the free CDN Enabler WordPress plugin to link your site assets to the CDN URLs, then you can deactivate the plugin and test reloading your site. The same goes for using any other plugin you may use to connect to your CDN, such as WP Rocket, Breeze, or W3 Total Cache. If you can't access your site's admin dashboard, you can disable the plugin via SFTP by renaming the plugin's folder name. CDNs like Cloudflare or Securi, which provide full proxy services, have extra firewalls between their edge servers and your origin server. Hence, you may encounter HTTP 500 errors more frequently while using them. Most of them cache 500 errors returned by your origin server, so it's easy to troubleshoot them. Cloudflare's free plan is prone to throw up a 500 error. Unfortunately, since it's a full proxy service, there's no quick way to disable it. But before you blame Cloudflare for it, know that Cloudflare shows two variations of the 504 Gateway Timeout error. Cloudflare will show you a custom 504 Gateway Timeout error screen when your site's origin server responds with a standard HTTP 504 response. Here, the issue lies with your web server and not Cloudflare. You can try fixing it with other solutions I've mentioned before, or contact your hosting provider support for technical help. If Cloudflare causes the 504 Gateway Timeout error, the error screen will mention Cloudflare, which is currently the standard server name for all Cloudflare assets. Usually, the error screen will show up like this. Since Cloudflare itself is unresponsive, you'll not see any Cloudflare branded error screen here. Most likely, Cloudflare is already aware of the issue and is working on a fix already. You can confirm this by checking the Cloudflare system status webpage. Alternatively, you can get in touch with Cloudflare support for a quicker resolution. The size of your uploads to your site can also be a reason for the server timeouts. Cloudflare limits upload size to just 100 megabytes on both free and pro plans. The issue can be on your host end or with Cloudflare. You can find out the exact cause by bypassing Cloudflare with your DNS host file and trying your upload again. If you're using Cloudflare with WordPress, I recommend you use their free plugin and exclude critical URLs from caching, such as the WordPress admin dashboard. Server issues are one of the most common reasons for facing a 504 Gateway Timeout error. Since most WordPress sites are hosted on Nginx or Apache web servers, it means that Nginx or Apache is waiting for a response from something and timing out. Many clients come to Kinsta because they're experiencing this problem at other WordPress hosts. High traffic and e-commerce sites are more prone to getting 504 errors because of the server overload, as they generate a lot of uncacheable requests. However, this issue can crop up with any site, including simple blogs. Many hosts will ask you to upgrade to a high-tier plan to fix the issue, which in most cases is unnecessary. Kinsta uses LXD managed hosts and orchestrated LXC software containers for each site. Thus, every WordPress site is housed in its own isolated container with access to all the software required to run it, like Linux, Nginx, PHP, and MySQL. The resources are 100% private and aren't shared with any other site. Most WordPress hosts providing shared hosting plans don't have this capability. Hence, a high-traffic site hosted on the same server as yours may cause your site to throw up a 504 error too. Apart from isolating each site in its container, Kinsta has also designed its infrastructure to easily handle thousands of concurrent connections. Kinsta even hosts the MySQL databases at localhost, not a remote server. This means no latency between machines, resulting in faster queries and fewer chances of timeouts occurring. Many clients who migrate to Kinsta see huge decreases in overall load times. An overloaded server isn't the only cause for a server timeout. There can be many other reasons for the 504 error. The server you use to host your WordPress site may not have enough resources to handle the load. It's like playing a modern, graphics-intensive video game on a decade-old PC. The server just hangs up trying to serve the website. The only solution to this problem is to upgrade to a server with better infrastructure. For this reason, even Kinsta's most basic WordPress hosting plan will handle a static site with medium traffic. PHP workers are used to execute the code on your WordPress site. An e-commerce site that gets 50,000 visitors per month needs a lot more resources than a simple blog with the same amount of traffic. If all the server's PHP workers are busy, they'll build up a queue. When the queue gets too big, the server disregards old requests, which may cause the server to throw up a 504 gateway error. You can ask your host about increasing your number of PHP workers. This will allow your site to execute multiple requests simultaneously. Your server's firewall could have some errors or an improper configuration. Perhaps a few of its rules prevent the server from establishing a connection properly. To know if your firewall is the culprit, you can check your server's error logs. Connectivity issues between the proxy server and the web server could cause delays in responding to HTTP requests. If you use a load balancer, there could also be network connectivity issues with it. HTTP timeouts can occur when a connection between the web server and the client is kept open for too long. With WordPress sites, this usually happens when running WordPress imports. One way to resolve this issue is to switch to a faster internet connection. You can also use a tool with support for WP CLI to run the scripts directly on the server, bypassing the HTTP connection entirely. For instance, you can use the WP import WP CLI command to run the WordPress importer plugin directly through the command line interface. And this is important. 504 gateway timeout errors look similar to 503 service unavailable errors or 502 bad gateway errors, but they're all different. If you're experiencing a 504 error at Kinsta, open a support ticket to get your issue fixed immediately. For monitoring your site's downtime on your own, you can use a tool like updown.io. It'll check your website status or any URL periodically by sending an HTTP request to it. You can send the check frequency from 15 seconds to 1 hour. If your website isn't responding correctly, it'll notify you with an email or a text message. You'll get a generous quantity of free credits with every account of updown.io. But if you're looking for cheaper alternatives, you can check out WebGazer or Uptime Robot. Both these tools will help you monitor your site's uptime every 5 minutes for free. That's decent enough for most website owners. Monitoring your website will give you an idea of how often it's down. This is especially helpful if you're using a shared hosting provider. Most managed WordPress hosts take care of this automatically for you, hence it's always recommended going with them. Malicious attackers can bring your web server to a crawl by sending too many requests or by sending resource-intensive requests. If your site is getting spammed by bots or undergoing a DDoS attack, it can overwhelm your server and result in a 504 gateway timeout error for many genuine users. You can look at your server traffic and analytics to see if you can spot any irregular patterns in the site traffic. If you're using Kinsta to host your site, you can view this data easily by going to your My Kinsta Analytics dashboard. Start your investigation by looking at the top client IPs. It'll give you an idea of who is generating the maximum number of requests and from where. If your server suddenly uses up enormous bandwidth or attracts a lot of traffic, then this report will come in super handy. Next, you can check out the cache analysis report. Here, you can see how many requests are bypassing or missing the cache, or being served from the cache. For performance and stability reasons, you want to cache as many requests as possible, but it's not always possible to achieve that. For example, WooCommerce sites generate a lot of uncacheable requests for features such as the shopping cart and the checkout process. Finally, you can use a WordPress security plugin to beef up your website security by spotting and blocking worrisome traffic and IPs. You can ask your host to block certain IPs too. Depending upon the length and scale of the attack, this could be a never-ending process of backlisting IPs as many attackers change their IPs and proxy addresses after getting blocked. Take note, Kinsta doesn't allow its clients to install WordPress security plugins as they can have a huge effect on the site's performance, especially its scanning capabilities. As Kinsta uses load balancers with Google Cloud Platform, blocking IPs wouldn't always work as intended. You can use dedicated security solutions such as Cloudflare or Security to protect your sites from DDoS attacks and spam bots. Sometimes a 504 gateway timeout error can be because of a corrupt database, especially in WordPress sites. Typically, this is due to corrupted database tables or files. Sometimes it can also be caused by a serious security issue like your site or database being hacked. Repairing a corrupted WordPress database depends on the problem. Plugins like WPDB Manager make it easy to diagnose database issues and repair them. In most cases, third-party plugins and themes don't cause 504 errors, but there's a slight chance that they might cause server timeouts, usually by queuing up a lot of uncached requests generated by the plugin or theme. As this ties up a lot of your server's PHP workers, it can cause 504 errors. A great example of this issue is WooCommerce, which is a plugin installed to add e-commerce functionality to WordPress sites. The simplest way you can troubleshoot this problem is by deactivating all of your plugins. Remember, you won't lose any data if you just deactivate a plugin. If you can access your admin dashboard, you can go to the plugins screen, Select Deactivate from the Bulk Actions menu, checkmark all the plugins, and then hit Apply. This will disable all of your plugins. If you can't access your admin area, then you can disable plugins via SFTP using the method that I described earlier. Just rename the main plugin folder name to disable all the plugins in bulk. Once you've deactivated all the plugins, check whether your site loads properly. If it works, then you must activate each plugin one by one, testing the site after enabling every plugin. Finally, make sure that your plugins, themes, and WordPress core are up to date. Also, ensure that your server is running the recommended version of PHP. If you feel this is too overwhelming, you can always reach out to your host for help. Kinsta uses New Relic and other troubleshooting techniques to help clients narrow down what plugin, query, or script might cause the error. In the worst case scenarios, like an inefficient query or bad code in a plugin or theme, you can bring in a WordPress developer to fix the issue. Viewing error logs can be very helpful when troubleshooting and debugging 504 errors on your WordPress site. This can help you narrow down an issue on your site quickly, especially if it's resulting from a demanding plugin on your site. If you're a Kinsta customer, you can easily see errors in the log viewer in your My Kinsta dashboard. If your host doesn't have a logging tool, then you can enable WordPress debug mode by adding the following code to your wp-config.php file. The wp debug constant enables or disables the WordPress debug mode. It has two optional companion constants that can extend its features. The wp debug log constant directs all errors to be saved to a debug.log file within the wp content directory. If you don't see this file, you can always create one. The WP debug display constant controls whether debug logs show up in the HTML page. Setting this to false will hide all errors, but you can review the errors later as you've also defined WP debug log as true. This is important. If you have WP debug enabled in the Kinsta environment, it'll route all errors to the debug.log file and not the error.log in the My Kinsta dashboard. You can also download the raw WordPress error log files via SFTP. Typically, you can find error logs in your server root directory in a folder named Logs. Kinsta users can also enable WordPress debug mode from their My Kinsta dashboard. To do that, navigate to Sites, then to Tools, then to WordPress debugging, and then click the Enable button. This will allow you to see PHP errors and notices without having to enable debug mode via SSH or SFTP. Lastly, you can check the server log files. Depending on which server you're using to host your WordPress site, they're commonly found in these two locations noted here. You can refer to logging-related documentation of Apache or Nginx for more information. You can edit your server config files to increase resource limits for specific directives. This can help to resolve the 504 Gateway Timeout error. First, add the following code to your httpd.conf file. This setting defines how long the server will wait for certain requests before marking it as a network timeout issue. Its default value is 60 seconds. You can only add this directive in your httpd.conf file, not in your .htaccess file. Since most shared hosting providers don't allow you to modify the httpd.conf file, you can try increasing the value of the limit request body directive in your .htaccess file instead. Then add the following line to your php.ini file. The default value of PHP's max execution time directive is 30 seconds. Increasing it will allow your site's PHP scripts to run longer. If you're running your WordPress sites on Nginx plus Fast CGI Process Manager, or using Nginx as a reverse proxy for Apache, you can tweak the server settings to help prevent 504 Gateway Timeout errors. First, you must edit your PHP FPM pool config file. You can find it here at this location in your Nginx server. Alternatively, you can run the following command in your terminal to edit the PHP FPM pool config file. Next, set the following directive. After this, you must edit your php.ini file. You can locate it here. Open the file and add or change the value for the max execution time directive to 300 seconds. Finally, add the following code to your nginx.conf file's location block. Reload Nginx and PHP FPM for the changes to take effect. The exact code to reload PHP FPM will vary based on the PHP version installed on your server. Test your site to see whether it has fixed the issue. And remember, All of this code will be in the resource section below for you to copy and paste. If you're using Nginx as a reverse proxy server for Apache, then you can make it more lenient towards server timeouts by adding the following directives to your nginx.conf file. Don't forget to reload Nginx after making your changes. As mentioned earlier in the video, there are many other HTTP 500 errors that are just like the 504 Gateway Timeout error. It's because of the fact that they all happen on the server side. These errors include 500, internal server error, 501, not implemented error, 502, bad gateway error, and 503, service unavailable error. Other HTTP errors caused due to client-side issues like the 404 not found error are also like the 504 error. Your WordPress site can be affected by the 504 gateway timeout error because of multiple reasons. Typically, these errors are caused due to server-side issues, in which case you can reach out to your host and get it resolved quickly. However, you must also understand that this error may be caused because of third-party plugins, themes, services, insufficient data queries, or a combination of two or more of these. If you're maxing out your server's resources, like the PHP workers, it's recommended to optimize your site for performance. If you still find that your website is timing out, then it might very well be that you need to upgrade your hosting plan or the number of PHP workers. I recommend that you consider this option only after you've exhausted all the other solutions that I've described in this video. From simple static sites to complex e-commerce and membership sites, Kinsta's hosting plans are designed to accommodate all types of websites. Even if your site uses more server resources than what your hosting plan offers, Kinsta's automatic scaling feature means that your site will always be online. Did we miss anything in this video? If you're still finding it difficult to fix the 504 gateway timeout error on your WordPress site, leave a comment below. Kinsta's WordPress hosting can speed up your website by up to 200%, and you'll get 24/7 support from our expert WordPress engineers. Let us show you the Kinsta difference. Try a free demo of our My Kinsta dashboard at demo.kinsta.com. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, explainers, and helpful content like this.